Well, good evening and welcome to Dalton here at the Diamond. This is one of my favorite places. If you guys follow us, you know for certain that this is my remote office. Tonight we're going to have a casual evening. As you can see, I don't have on the normal scaletrains.com suit. So we're just going to have a little bit of a conversation. We'll invite James in here in just a couple of minutes. So while we're watching the train go by, you guys are welcome to continue to ask questions. We'll hang around for a bit, answer your questions. Hopefully this is the NW unit.
Another Chivo.
Another Chivo. I've seen a couple of folks say asking for a C4 trucks on the ES44s. They'll definitely have C4s. Let's see. I've seen a bunch of questions. Will you get the ES44 in CP, second run for the CP? And then also too, if you watch that train that just came by, that first locomotive in the consist is on the to-do list. So you might want to go back and look at your video. Let's see, James, wanting to know if you'll do another run of boxcars.
Probably 15th anniversary.
15th anniversary for James. Yeah. I have one of those in my office and he needs to autograph it for me.
Shane, a question about Kentucky Steam. What's it been like working with Kentucky Steam?
Kentucky Steam's been a lot of fun. Of course, Drayton's got a connection there. He's one of the members that was with Kentucky Steam originally. So, you know, we've talked about 2716, of course, but in partnering with the Spirit of Ravenna ET44, we've been able to give back on that project. Once we get the rebalance of the ET44s from the second shipment, we'll actually make another donation to Kentucky Steam. So hopefully they'll have some success here in the near future in getting 2716 back to Steam. Another popular question I've seen popping up here is about the 4-axle locomotive. If you were on the live stream that we did a couple of months ago, I shared some future projects that we're working on. And you know, the one thing about this, when I talk about like this ES44, from the time we said we were going to do this project, it's been over 2 years since I've been in California. So from the time that got started to today is a long time. And a normal locomotive project is 2 to 3 years from the time we say go until the time you hold it in your hand. So, you know, I mentioned that we're working on a 4-axle project, and we are. It just may not be imminent. It might be, but it might not be. Same thing with the steam locomotive. As I mentioned in that live stream, we sent that research package just this past December. So if you look at those time frames, we're nowhere close on announcing a steam locomotive yet, but it's definitely something that that is in our future plans. What else you got?
When's the next museum quality going to be announced?
That's a great question. So, you know, if you haven't heard, Train Fest is canceled this year. We had planned to make our museum quality announcement at Train Fest. We had some challenges this year, you might say, with the development schedule, and actually got a little bit behind on that release. We're actually going to make that announcement at Springfield at the end of January, and that is a museum quality locomotive. So we're pretty excited. That'll be probably, believe that's our next HO locomotive release, will be Springfield. Drayton's asking about the development process, and one of the cool things, I'll give a shameless plug, before the pre-orders close, Drayton's going to publish a video called How Model Trains Are Made Part 1, and that follows actually the ES44 process from concept to announcement. Normally, from the time we say yes, we're going to do a project, it's a minimum of 2 years until we make the actual announcement. It's about 3 years from the time we say go until the time we deliver, and that's because it takes a lot of time. You know, right now we just worked with our factory. We redid our production schedule, our announcement schedule, our development schedule. Things kind of got out of whack with some of the things that have happened, as everyone knows, this year. And we're back on track now. Things are rolling really well for us. But I can tell you right now, we have all of our new tooling planned through 2020, almost through 2023 at this point. And we've got penciled in 2024 and 2025. So we're out like 3 or 4 years. And the reason that we do that is so that we can collect information now. Now there's a chance someone might announce a project, but as long as we're out there and we're gathering that information, then it's an opportunity for us to be ready when it's time to send that in. Passenger equipment is something we've talked about. Rapido really does an awesome job in that arena. Jason, and he'll even tell you he's a little crazy about crawling up underneath the cars and getting all that detail right. The passenger cars that have been done that have a lot of railroads on them, they're all done. You know, James, he badgers me all the time about the UP office car, the special train. And you're looking at, per car, about $100,000 in tooling. Well, if you've got a 10-car train, that's $1 million of tooling. And I told James, you know, he's Mr. Moneybags. If he wants to pony up and do that, we do it for him. For some reason, he won't release his wallet. But it's a pretty high risk. And if you're not able to do a lot of road names, it's almost impossible to recover that tooling investment. You know, if you look at those 10 UP cars, they're all different. You got to sell a lot of freight cars just to recover your tooling costs. That doesn't include your cost of goods, doesn't include your cost for research. And of course, we have to make a profit so that we can pay our people, pay our bills, invest in future projects. So passenger cars are not on our short list. Not to say never, but I don't see anything coming from us anytime soon.
Saw a couple of questions about Genesee and Wyoming locomotives, which
You're
since I'm here,
Drayton put a plant on that one.
That's right. I love G&W. I'm trying.
You know, and that's a great question, and I'm going to answer that in a broad sense. When you have a locomotive and you have a first-hand owner, it's pretty easy to replicate that model. Getting all the detail right, going back and look at the order numbers, getting photos of those order numbers, it's a simpler process. Not saying it's easy, but it's simpler. When you get into second-hand owners, third-hand owners, a lot of modifications happen. Horn changes, that's pretty easy, but a lot of details change, ditch light locations, all that kind of stuff can change. And it's really hard, you know, like even like the NS Admiral Cab program. I don't know how many NS has now. I think when we started, there were probably, 50-ish in the lineup. We can only do about 12 or 15 accurately without going back and making a ton of tooling changes, which will only allow us to get maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 road numbers. It's just not cost effective to do that. The other thing is getting the research. Now, if you're someone who really would like us to do a project for a locomotive or freight car that we offer, and you have high resolution, what we call walk around photography, or you have slides, if you go back in the day, we're looking for like taking a locomotive and you shoot it in quarters, and you shoot the ends, and you shoot both sides. If you can get up on a bridge, you can shoot down. Of course, you do that safely. Please don't trespass. You know, those kind of things are important. If you have that and you can supply that to us, email us at sales@scaletrains.com with your contact information, what model you'd like, what information you have available, what kind of documentation. If you have paint and lettering diagrams, builder's diagrams, those are all the hard things. And, you know, sometimes it's low-hanging fruit, right? We have finding a railroad that is more common, and finding the photography, that's easier than finding sometimes railroads that aren't as prevalent or still in existence. You know, we've got the modern era covered pretty well. We've worked with the 40-2. We've got the 45 now. There's another project we're working on that fits the 45 era, and some other things that are coming that'll be perfect for me as an 80s modeler. So for those of you who always think we make only modern, I mean, I could go on the list that's not modern, but there's definitely a lot more coming. Going back even into the 50s at this point, we have some projects we're working on. And you know, when I say we're working on a project, though, I think a lot of times folks hear me say, when I say we're working on something, because I hear there's someone I'm seeing posting all the time that we're going to make our 4-axle announcement in November. I'm not going to tell you when we're going to make it, because I don't want to set your expectations and then disappoint you. Just know that it's coming, and when the time's right, we'll make that announcement.
See a couple questions about Ferromex and KCS Mexico.
Both are on the to-do list. James?
So I noticed a couple of questions about what goes into the thought process of picking a locomotive that's even been somewhat done in the industry versus ones that haven't been done at all. I don't know what all's out there in terms of what hasn't been done. Probably the older stuff mostly. But what is your kind of scale judgment on what you choose to do? I know years ago sometimes people would put out kind of public polls or ask questions. Like, how do you get an accurate idea that an item's going to be able to move off your shelves?
That's a great question. So, you know, we've done polls, we've done questionnaires, and we do log every request that we get. We have this monster master spreadsheet with folks that make requests. The challenge there is when you have a poll, not the responding base is not large, your pool of respondents. And then one thing we've learned is you might have a vocal few, and it doesn't necessarily mean when you make that product they're going to spend the money to buy that product. And there's this perception that if it's not been made before, it's going to sell really well. The C39-8 proved that absolutely wrong. The carbon black hoppers proved that absolutely wrong. And if you go back and look at forum posts about, I'd say about 7-8 years ago, carbon blacks were on there all the time. The C39-8 was on there all the time. And we've got some other locomotives that are more unique in the lineup. One that we're working on right now has never been done in plastic before. Probably more than one, but I know one for sure. And the thing is, and I think the thing that people need to realize, and when we look at the ES44, right, nobody's ever done intermediate and lates. Not to this level, at least. There's a really good early version out there, and even within that, we've come up with like 60 variants in the ES44s. No one's holds a candle to that many variants. Right. And when you look at it, it's like the Dash 9, the ET44, the ES44, the SD40-2. These are locomotives that we can run for years and years and years. And once we recover that tooling investment, right, there's a lot more profit in that locomotive, and it's that profit that funds the C39-8. And so, I know folks kind of get upset and they're like, man, I really wanted this or I really wanted that. It's not to say we're not working on it.
Right.
And it's also, it takes a lot of money to create a new model. A locomotive is easily a multi-six-figure investment. And when you're putting that kind of money out, like with the C39s, we've gone through 2 runs. We've pretty much exhausted what we can do in HO. We've done 1 run in N, and we've about exhausted the market in N scale for that locomotive. And we knew it wasn't. Obviously we know that that's not going to be a home run or a grand slam, but it's very hard to invest that kind of money. And I'm one thing you learn about me is I'm brutally honest.
Yep.
We recovered the tooling investment on the first run of HO. The second run, we made enough profit to run our company for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The N scale, we lost our shirts on. So you got to go with winners that are going to put the money in the kitty and help you pay your bills.
Right.
And then that also funds those unique products.
What do you say, Ace Tier 4s?
70 Ace Tier 4s, that's a great question. We were really hot to do that project about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But the problem is not many railroads have taken delivery. There's a few out there, but it's a pretty high risk. It's not the same chassis as the straight 70 Ace. A lot of custom tooling, so it's a possibility for sure, but still kind of question mark on that one.
See if it's more mainstream later.
Yeah. Well, it was hard in the beginning when we first started our company. The 4 of us that started the company have got our life savings in this. We've got our heart, our passion, our love for the hobby, the love for the industry. We really enjoy what we do. And now we've created a team that's that way. And we're a small company. We have 16 employees. We have 11 here in Tennessee. We have 5 in Southern California. And everybody, loves our company, loves what we do, is super passionate about what we do. And in the beginning, it hurt. It really hurt. I took it personally. And one thing I've learned over the years, and some pretty sage advice, right? It's kind of cliche, but you can't please all the people all the time. And I've just come to that realization. No matter how hard we try, we're just not. And I think the thing that I take comfort in is just because we didn't announce your locomotive today doesn't mean the next locomotive isn't the one that you want, or the next freight car that you want. We can't. It's unbelievable to me. We're way north of $2 million invested in tooling in 6 years. By the end of next year, we should be upwards of $3 million invested in tooling. That's a lot of money to outlay for new product, and we're putting a lot back into it, and we have new releases coming all the time. So the big thing for me is, hey, if you didn't get it today, maybe you'll get it tomorrow. And and if anyone has a concern or ever wants to talk about that, I'm happy to talk about it personally. You're welcome to email us at sales@scaletrains.com, and it might take me a little while to get back to you. I'm not able to sit on the sales mailbox, but I definitely will respond.
Well, Drayton and I both have fairly large YouTube channels, and we see, you can't make everybody happy. If you have 50,000 subscribers, 1% of that is, 500 people that's mad at you at any time. So I think everybody understands with a large audience, a large customer base, there's going to be people not happy with anything that's produced.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. And I think the other thing that people need to know too is we're human. You know, we're real people. And if you ever have a problem with us or our products, man, just get a hold of us. We'll take care of you. We'll work to find a resolution that works for both of us. Because without modelers like James and all the you folks that are watching, we don't have a company, and we know that. And your business is important to us, and we're going to make sure we take care of you. Well, a quick wrap up tonight. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in and spending an hour with us, and also watching the video tonight. I've seen a lot of questions and a lot of repeat questions. In summary, a couple of things that I see a lot. 4-axle, yes, that's in the future. No, we're not ready to share a time frame yet. Yes, the steam locomotives in the future. No, we're not ready to share a time frame yet. See a lot of questions from everything from Jeep 30s to Jeep 40s to SD 40s. You name it, guys. Pretty much everything that you've suggested tonight is on that list of possibilities. We're not going to confirm anything because the last thing we want to do is disappoint you. Because when we say we're going to do something, like we said we're going to do a 4-axle, people expect it to be announced right away. And so we want to keep that close to the vest because we want to wait, keep you focused on what we're working on now, and when we're ready to announce those projects, we most certainly will. If you've asked about road names for the ES44s, you can pretty much guarantee every road name we're going to do. We've tooled them, and we have plans to come with them. We have, of course, in this first production run, we worked really closely with CSX on the Pride and Service locomotives. Super proud of these. We've worked with the paint and lettering diagrams that Tyler Harden supplied for us, and so we're definitely doing these. These models will be here just before Christmas for Pride and Service. The other road names will be here early next year. And then, of course, we also made the big announcement earlier this evening. Earlier today, we signed a contract with BNSF Railway to have the exclusive rights to produce the 25th anniversary units. You know, we've worked with BNSF since January on that project, and so worked really hard with them, supplied them drawings, several different drawings. Their artist put the drawings on those the predecessor railroads, and been working super closely with BNSF on that project. We have a 3-year exclusive opportunity on that, both in HO and N-scalers, and N-scale as well. So there's your Easter egg, and you can figure out what's coming down the pike in N-scale there. And then, of course, these models right now, they're available for pre-order on our website, and you can also pre-order those from a select retailer. Pre-orders are going to be due at the end of September. You'll want to get your order in for the Pride and Service locomotives. Since we're going to deliver them before Christmas, we've already placed our order, and that means there's a finite number that we can get in before Christmas. If we go through that number, we'll order more to have for after Christmas, which is going to be probably in a March time frame. And of course, the clear ditch lights for the police unit will come in the March time frame as well. And then we're also talked about the second run, CPs in the second run, City Rail, UPs in that second run, and there's some more road names there as well, and we'll have some more announcements down the road. Look for the BNSF, I forgot to mention that, just popped up, the BNSF 25th anniversary units. Because BNSF just picked the road names about 3 to 4 weeks ago, and we've been working with them to make sure we get all the details right. They're early production units. There's 10 numbers. 5 of them are different, and they have different details. We put all that information to our factory. We couldn't catch this first production run. It's just too late. So we'll announce them. Our goal is on BNSF's 25th anniversary, which is September 22nd. That's for HO. And then we'll see those then mid to late next year. And then the N-scale will follow. We don't have a timeline for you just on that just yet. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to tune in tonight. We'll try to go back and catch up on some of the questions that we may have missed throughout the broadcast. If we missed your question, we apologize. They go by very quickly, but we know that we didn't miss it on purpose. James, thanks so much for taking the time. Drayton, Brendan, and I'm sorry, what was your name?
Sterling.
Sterling's here too. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. We will be watching the comments, of course, that we see, and really appreciate everybody that your support, your business, and of course we wish everyone all the best. Stay healthy, stay safe, take care, God bless. Good night.